I'm going to put a little bit of text at the beginning of the screen saying like to ask Q&A questions for the next video, because since I really don't have a whole lot of stuff to film, next video we'll do a Q&A, so leave your comments down below for that. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel here. So today we're going to be talking about the 05 axles a little bit. There's been some people that say that I'm not going to be able to do the 05 axle swap in the rear because of certain things that people ask about, or people say, well, the frames are different, so it's not going to work. And today I'm going to put those myths to rest. We're going to go measure some things, because I have both trucks. I have this one and I have the F350 down by the garage. We're going to measure them, and I'm going to show you guys that it is going to work. I don't know exactly where you guys are coming up with this. Some of you guys that say that I'll have to do a complete frame swap to use those axles. It's not, that's not how this works, okay? So, yeah, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some measurements of stuff. Now, the axles, okay, this is a Ford 8.8 in my 96 F-150, all right? The space between this edge here is exactly the same as on the F350. So this distance is the exact same distance, which means that the distance between the leaf springs is the same, so that I'll be able to use these leaf springs and put the 05 axles under it. The only issue that I am going to run into with that I suspect, is that number one of these shock mounts, all right, on the 96 they're both in the front. On the 2005, one of them is in the rear. So I'm not going to move it on the axle. What I'm going to try to do is move it on, well, I might actually move it on the axle now that I look at it, but I was planning to just move it on the frame and put it somewhere back here, but I have the exhaust in the way, and I would probably end up mounting it somewhere up here, but I have this rear gas tank here, so I might actually have to move it, take one of these and flip it around. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll see it in a minute. One of these is on the other side, so they go like that instead of both in the front. That's one of the things I'll run into. Next thing I'm going to run into is, well, okay, so the diameter of the axle tubes is larger on the F350, obviously. So what that is going to do is I'm going to need to get larger U-bolts. Okay, I'm going to have to use 05 F350 U-bolts, and I'm also going to have to use the top plate. This top plate here, I'm going to have to use this top plate also from the 2005 F350. Because this spacing is going to be the same between these two bolts, but since the diameter of the axle is larger, this right here, these two bolts are slightly longer. No, well, not longer, but further apart because the axle is wider. So that's one of the things I'm going to run into, but that's really not a very big deal. It would be a big deal if the spacing between the leaf springs is different, like people like to try to tell me. Really, that also would be an easy fix. I would just have to make a spacer of some sort in between this leaf spring hanger, a spacer in between them to push it out further, and that's really all I would have to do in the front and in the rear, which kind of is a sketchy solution. But if I build them right and get them like cut CNC milled and stuff, it'd be perfectly fine. So we're gonna measure this stuff, and I'm gonna put to rest that myth that I need to do a complete frame swap to put those axles in my truck. So let's go ahead and let's measure these. So end to end on the leaf springs, I'm gonna have to go in front of this tube here. It's about 36 1/4. All right, and that's kind of within margin of error. It's about 36 because my back finger is marking where the line is, so it's about 36. All right, so now we're gonna go down. I really need to screw this in. All this, I never actually put this back together when I painted the door jambs. It's just like a couple screws, but I just haven't done it. So we're gonna go measure the F350 axles now. I'm gonna show you guys that they're pretty much the same. So man, it's like 20 degrees out too. So I know some of you guys have been asking like, hey, when are you gonna actually start doing this? And the reason I'm waiting until spring to put these axles in is because it's freaking cold out and I don't wanna be rolling around in the snow doing an axle swap. I wanna be able to take my time with it, not be freezing my ass off, and be able to do it right. So, I just don't like working outside in the cold, it sucks. And I don't have the garage that I'd be able to work in, it's not heated, so yeah, it would suck. So I've worked out there before, doing brakes, doing all kinds of other shit, and I hate it. So I'm definitely not going to take on this big of a project outside in the cold. So I just don't want to do it. So all right, so before we climb underneath this thing, because it's well, on flat tires and I'm only climbing under there once, we're gonna measure the spacing on the bolts on the leaf spring top plates first, and I'm gonna show you guys that those are different, but they're also the same. So okay, so width-wise on these, the short way is about 3 1/4, and on the other one it's about 3 1/8, going the little way. And then over here on the 350, which I might want to do this side, it might be easier to get to it. Not really. So hopefully you guys can see that it's about 3 3.5 going the long way, so the diameter of the axle, and it's the same exact distance from point to point for the leaf spring. So they're the same between this way. So yeah, the only real difference is that the axle is a bigger diameter axle. Now we're gonna go ahead and measure the leaf spring distance, and then we'll kind of close this off and put all the myths to rest. So yeah, hopefully you guys could see under there. Hopefully it wasn't too dark for the camera. I was also, well, it shouldn't have been too dark because there's a big hole in the bed. But you can see that it's pretty much the exact same from that leaf spring there to the one over here. It's about 36 inches, give or take a little bit, because it's kind of hard to measure, but I'm pretty sure they're exactly the same width. So I just kind of want to put that myth to rest. Maybe I'll stop getting so many damn comments, people thinking that I'm gonna have to do a complete freaking frame swap to put these axles in. Now I'm not saying that we're not gonna run into issues, because obviously, you know, whenever you're doing something, there's gonna be issues that you run into, like the shock mounts and stuff. Maybe you guys could have seen that, but underneath, while I was climbing underneath there, but I'm not climbing underneath there again because it's freaking super low to the ground. So we're gonna have shit that we're gonna run into. I don't think swapping the rear axle in is not gonna be a big deal, except for the the sensor that's on top of my diff there. I might lose my speedo when I do that. I don't know if that's the speedo cable on the, well, it must be. I don't know. I don't know what else it would be on top of my rear diff. There's a sensor up there. So I'll probably lose my speedometer. But I mean, I'm not really all that concerned about that, because that's something I can fix later on. Because I'm pretty sure that the plug from the 96 is not just going to plug right in to the 05 axle. It's not going to be the same. But maybe somebody on a forum has a fix for that, so that'll be something that we'll really have to kind of think about. But yeah, I'm freaking freezing. I don't have gloves on either, so freezing my ass off out here. That's kind of why I haven't really been posting a lot of stuff lately. But at least hopefully today we put to rest that myth, and yeah, that's really was my plan for today. So if you guys enjoyed this video, or maybe if it helped you guys out, maybe if you guys are thinking about doing this same axle swap and you're like, huh, I wonder if it'll be the same, or if I'm gonna have to do a whole frame swap or something like that. I don't know, if this video helped you out, make sure to leave a like on it and comment, hit subscribe, all that good shit. So alrighty guys, see you guys in the next one. Also, I'm gonna put a little bit of text at the beginning of the screen saying, like, to ask Q&A questions for the next video, because since I really don't have a whole lot of stuff to film, next video we'll do a Q&A, so leave your comments down below for that. So alrighty, thank you guys.